Oftentimes in a mobile application, you may want to pop up an alert dialog box. And the classic case for this is the user has chosen a certain action and you want to pop up an alert that says, hey, are you sure you want to do this, with a yes or a no button? And there's a built-in alert dialog class that we can use in Android. And I'll show you how to use that now. So I've created a blank document called it alert dialog. And in the main XML file, I've simply just replaced the text view with a button. And when we click this button, we're going to spawn an alert dialog. And it's going to ask, do you really want to exit this application? And if the answer is yes, then we're actually going to kill the application. If no, then essentially we're just going to cancel that request. So let's move over now to the Java code, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're in our onCreate here. And the next thing we want to do is to get a reference to our button. I'm going to call it B. And find view by ID. Make sure we cast it. And now I'm going to set the on-click listener for my button. I'm just going to do an inner event handler. Make sure we import the on-click listener class. So when the user clicks on that button, we want to generate an alert dialog that says, are you sure you want it to exit the application? So what we need to do now is to create an instance of the alert dialog. And actually, we're going to create an instance of the builder property that's on there, which is essentially an inner class. So I'm going to say alert dialog dot builder, and I'll just call it builder, is equal to new alert dialog builder dot builder. And to this we need to pass in the context. And since we're in an inner event handler, simplest way is just to say main.this. So now we have this builder, and this is obviously going to allow us to build up and create an alert dialog. So the first thing I want to do is to set the message on the dialog. And we basically want to say, do you really want to exit the application? So we're going to say builder.set message. And now we just pass in a string. And I'll say, are you sure you want to exit? So the next property I'm going to set is whether or not this alert can be canceled. And what that means is, with the alert up, if the user hits the back key, will it get rid of the alert or not? And you have control over that. So I'm going to say builder, then we're going to call the set cancelable method. And for this one, I'm going to put false. So the user can't back out of that dialog. So now we want to set the individual buttons and what we want to happen when the user clicks on those buttons. So we're going to say builder set positive button. And this is, in this case, when they say yes. So we're going to do that. And to this, we're going to pass in yes, because that's the text that we want. So whether they want to exit or not. So now for this second argument, this is where we pass in what we want to do when the user clicks on the button. So I'm going to put in an anonymous inner event handler to respond to the click listener. Now the click listener is in dialog interface dot on click listener. And now you can see it's created this, and it's allowing me to respond to what happens when the user clicks on that yes button. So to exit out of our application or out of our activity, all we have to do is to say main.this, which gets us to this particular activity. And then we're going to call the finish method of the activity. Since this is the only activity, this will, in essence, close and exit our application. So that's the positive button. Now we want to do the same thing for the negative button. So set negative button. And for this text, I'm just going to say no. And then here again, dialog interface. And again, we want to do an anonymous inner on click listener. So now when the user clicks on the no button, essentially all we want to do is to cancel this dialog. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is to just call the cancel method. So dialog.cancel. And we get a reference to the dialog passed into us in this event handler, and that's where we're referencing it. So essentially, when you click no, it's just canceling out of the dialog. So now we've set up and we've built our dialog. The next thing we need to do is to create an instance of the alert dialog class. So alert dialog, and I'm going to call it alert. And we're going to set that equal to builder.create. So the builder has all this information, but when we call create, it's actually going to turn it into a real alert dialog instance, which we're going to store in this property. And now finally, to get it to actually show to the user, we just say alert.show. So let's give it a test. We'll launch this as an Android application. So here we have our button, and when I click, you can see we now get our alert dialog. Are you sure you want to exit? If I say yes, then the application essentially just exits completely. Let me actually get back to my home screen here. And we'll launch it one more time, just so I can show you the behavior. So when I click, it launches the alert dialog. If I click no, it's essentially just canceling out of it. But you'll notice when I click this, if I hit the back key, nothing happens because I set cancelable equal to false. So if it's a really important alert that you're presenting to the user, you don't want them to get out of it for whatever reason, you can do it by setting this property to false.